This video is just a short follow up to my previous upload, Why is God Letting This Happen to Us? Where I looked at various other crises in church history, and I argued that crisis has always been like a hammer with which God fashions the church's development according to his providence. This has been true of every crisis in the past, and we have no reason to assume it isn't true today. God is using this crisis as a means to correct certain imbalances and equip the church for whatever it will face in the future. Some people in the comments and privately told me that they felt like I was making a false equivalency, suggesting that we've had crises in the past, so this is really nothing new. There's nothing different today than anything we've seen before. Now, although I never claimed that there was parity among all the crises, and in fact, in my previous video, I specifically said that they weren't all the same, I think this is a fair point to bring up because we do sometimes lean upon the past in order to erect a scaffolding of comprehension around what's going on today. It's mentally comforting to look at confusing circumstances and say, oh, yeah, I see what's going on. This thing is just like that other thing that happened back when. It's a form of psychological security, a way for us to contextualize the unknown so it's not quite so scary. All crises are different in their causes, severity, and remedies. But what is constant, however, is the fact of crisis as a stimulus for the church's purification and development. And I think that was the point of my previous video. But another constant is the disposition required of us to weather such crises, namely a relentless focus on our own sanctification with all the means available at our disposal, and the fortitude to manfully confront whatever challenges our age sets before us. That is what the crises of the past teach us. Sure, every age has good and every age has bad, and these things are as varied as their causes and circumstances, and we can debate which age is objectively better, which age is objectively worse, and the criteria by which we measure those things. But despite all that, what is certain is that we will not get out of this without a purification that must begin with our own lives. As scripture says, it is time for judgment to begin at the household of God. Now, I do believe that our current crisis is uniquely bad and unprecedented in its severity. It may bewilder the intellect and challenge our tenacity, but our underlying responsibilities still have not changed. We are admittedly trying to work through a puzzle in the dark, to navigate a maze blindfolded, and the shadow is deep. But we should also remember that the mere fact of being in the middle of something makes it more confusing. It is vastly easier, for example, to understand the big picture of the Battle of Gettysburg from the vantage point of history than it would have been for a rank and file soldier charging Seminary Ridge in the moment. There's always an element of added confusion that exists simply by virtue of all the pieces being in play, of having to think on one's feet, of having to navigate without a clear perspective of every factor. And time and history will sort these matters out. But the decision for us remains the same, however. Choose you this day whom you will serve. And what other answer can we give? As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.